A very good evening to you. Welcome to yet another Newsmaker Live broadcast with me, Timothy Poulion. We go up until 10 o'clock this evening, at which time we conclude with the clip that peaked. We are also streaming on Facebook, Newsmaker Live. So hope that you will log on wherever you are and watch the program, and if you care to participate as well, we'll be taking your calls later. During the course of tonight's Newsmaker Live broadcast, we'll be putting the spotlight on the Castries Constituencies Council, and in particular on the mayor who took up the post of mayor in August of 2016, and also been hearing that he has plans to contest the Castries South seat in the island's next general election. He is my special guest. It was this week that we heard from the MP for Castries South, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, taking the mayor to task in particular for his management of the CCC. We have a report from Don Nicholas.
Mayor Peterson Francis came in for heavy criticism from MP for Castries South, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, for selling a portion of the CCC shares in Lucilec because of alleged financial difficulties. But the mayor explained that the shares sold amounted to a mere 0.83% and was not sold because of financial constraints, but because of a government policy decision. Dr. Hilaire, according to the mayor, has been invited to every statutory meeting but has failed to show up and has not even acknowledged receipt of the invitations to those meetings. Mr. Francis was questioned as to whether reports that he was planning on contesting the Castries South seat at the next general election are true. He did not give a straightforward answer, but he indicated that constituents approached him asking him to contest the seat. He says he will do so as long as the opportunity presents itself.
What I could tell you is this: the people in Castries South have been coming to me and asking me whether I'm interested in running. But people in Castries South have been coming to me. And I've always said, I have not shied away from it. I said, I'm a politician. I was involved in the last election. And if the opportunity presents itself, I'll consider it.
However, Dr. Hilaire says he's not worried about losing the Castries South seat. The Castries South MP is confident of his re-election at the next general election.
No, I am not threatened by it, certainly. He's supposed to deal with Mary Isaac, but that's their business. I'm not interested in that. I represent the people of Castries South, and, at the time, he will have to deal with that.
On the matter involving the invitation to the statutory meetings, Dr. Hilaire says he has a representative who attends the meetings and keeps him abreast with the latest developments. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Don, for this report which was filed on Monday evening during the DBS News World. Once again, my guest this evening, the Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the program.
Thanks again, team, for your invitation, and good night, St. Lucia.
Let's talk about your stewardship as mayor of the CCC since you took up the post in August of 2016. The latest criticism is with regard to the financial state of the statutory corporation. I'm told that you got $6 million in the kitty. What has happened to this money?
We didn't. That is absolutely false. At the Bank of St. Lucia, we never had $6 million. And sometimes when people want to present the facts, it is backed by documentation, facts and figures. It's easy to get the bank statement that when I came in 2016, there was $6 million. There was never $6 million at Bank of St. Lucia.
What is the amount?
I cannot recall, but I could tell you that it was not even $1 million. We just had what they call a gratuity account at Bank of St. Lucia. I mean, it was not even the account that we used for the day-to-day operations of the council. I mean, we basically were using the Bank of St. Lucia, not the Bank of St. Lucia, Bank of Nova Scotia. So there was never $6 million. And I have explained that before. When I came in, I mean, I got there was $1 million, there was $2 million at Development Bank and fixed deposit, and that was it. The previous administration had the luxury of an overdraft at Bank of Nova Scotia, which was being guaranteed by $1 million. And also the shares in Lucilec was even guaranteeing that overdraft. Because incidentally, as we got as I'm there now, and we got in our dividends, we had to get released until it's only this year we have been able to let them radiate that thing. But the Scotiabank still had a lien on the shares of Lucilec. So even when we get our dividends, they had to like release it to us. So that we have had our lawyers that has been taken care of. So that is basically what we never got 6 million at the time, whether it was in Bank of St. Lucia or Bank of Nova Scotia.
What is the current financial position of the CCC?
The present financial position is that we are surviving. As you know, that the government gives the CCC a subvention of $4 million a year. As I've repeatedly said, this is now only helping us with 8 months' salary. We have a wage bill of over $500,000 a month. These are things that we got. Right now, I mean, it's been portrayed that I'm the one who have increased the wages of the CCC, but that's not, we got that there. So I'm 2 million short just in wages for the year. And we also, we have a situation where you find that I've repeatedly said that we are overstaffed, especially in our sanitation and works department, which we got, which was actually padded in the previous administration. But we have come there, we have worked with it, right? We have not tried to dismiss anybody compared to what did they do when they came in. They dismissed 15 contractors, 15 guys who had contracts with the CCC. These contractors got judgment of $3.5 million or $3.2 million. We had to negotiate, right? And we came down to 2.8 million. And I'm happy to report tonight that we have paid off these contractors. This is judgment that we got there. So one of the things I'm saying, I mean, I do not know why they dismiss the people, but we have already paid. I mean, the only bad thing about it is that 1 or 2 of these people died before judgment day for them. But I mean, the families will have received that money. So we have paid $2.8 million, and that is part of what was done. And you will see, if you go back and see who the people are on the board. So we have maintained the staff. What we do is to work around it. We have, right now, we try to cut down on overtime. So we are managing. And as the program goes, I tell that the things that we have done, but have not gotten anything more than the $4 million that we have.
But it appears to be unsustainable. If you're saying that you have a wage bill of about, $500,000?
A month.
A month. Obviously, that is not sustainable. That is not something that you will be able to continue to finance as you go along. What plans do you have to ensure that at least you reduce the wage bill? Well,
as we said, what we do, we want to make sure now that we have a 40-hour work week. Before, you find that majority of these things was overtime. So we have substantially cut down on that right now. But you see, we are an institution, and we are a government of all the people. Unlike what was done previously, that they say 15 contractors had their UWPs, they were fired. Okay, we have maintained, and we are trying to just all what we have to do to maintain the management of our thing, and we have been able to, over the 2 years, we have been able successfully before, and they said they used to have $6 million they left $6 million at Bank of St. Lucia. But under the last administration, CCC had the most strikes for wages, can't get paid. And I think when that Mr. Saint-Just was there, he did a tremendous job in trying to maintain it, but we had, that was just chaos at CCC. Nearly every other month was a work stoppage because people can't get paid.
In terms of the finances of the CCC and how it is being utilized, who are you answerable to in terms of accountability?
There is a board, and as you rightly said, the representative said he has a representative on the board. We have the board, and basically at the end of the day, you have a line minister. So if things are going so haywire, there's the board. What is the board doing? What the board has been saying. You understand? So it's not a question that I'm working in isolation. If there are things, point it out. The other thing that I've promised is that we have to have audited account. These accounts have been ready for over a year. I mean, my first 18 months, 2 years, now we are ready for this thing and so on. But I realize now, what is happening. Because even though we have board members who have gone all around the thing, preventing an auditor, we have already advertised for an auditor. We got someone who is the pool. But we still have not been able to appoint an auditor. So now I'm realizing that, even your own people that want to make you look bad, because I'm being attacked from all quarters, within and without. So right now I'm going to go full speed ahead to appoint that auditor to have this financial accounts to be laid in Parliament, so everybody could see the mismanagement or the good management of the CCC financials.
But is that within your jurisdiction to do that, to make such an appointment?
Yes, but it's by law that you have to have audited accounts. But all the time people are saying that they had the best managed. We left a best managed organization. Have they produced any audited statements? The CCC have not produced one audited statement for the last 30 years. That's 30 years. But I mean, and we had people who were, we had people on the board at that time that had unparalleled accounting skills, but they were not able to. That was not a priority to have audited financial statement. So we have that. It's just a matter of getting it audited. So when I say it's not a question, I'm taking an arbitrary decision that it have to be audited. But what I'm saying is that there are people who actually have stalled the appointment of an auditor. So now I'm realizing to leave these lingering questions as far as your financial management of the CCC is concerned.
So therefore, people have every reason to believe and to even be suspicious that the finances of the CCC could be misused.
Absolutely. I'm in total agreement with that. So you see that it have to be, because the accounts are there to be audited. So I have to make sure that it's audited now.
So how soon are you hoping to ensure that this?
Well, I'm having a board meeting next week, Wednesday, and obviously that I'll build it up, so that that could finalize, so that the auditor could be called in to start auditing the books.
You seem to be anxious to effect change, and amidst that particular effort and enthusiasm on your part, people are suggesting that you are not going ahead with implementing various measures according to the requirements. How do you react to this in terms of you just doing things arbitrarily?
I'm doing things arbitrarily. That's what is being portrayed. Now, all what is
I'm sure you've heard this before.
No, what I'm saying, what people realize is that because I am implementing things. And I'm implementing the decision, the hard decision that had to be taken. As far as I'm concerned, I'm taking the hard decision.
But do you think there's a danger in that you could be challenged legally?
In what way?
If there is not if there isn't proper procedure, for example, the appointment of an auditor, is that your response, your sole responsibility? Is that your sole preserve?
No. Mm-hmm. The appointment of an auditor is something that has been discussed at the board meeting. The board is advertised for the thing. We did get a response. And it's up to the board to hire an auditor. That's not me, and that is a requirement of the law. And
you're saying that the board is dragging its feet on the issue?
Yes, they're dragging this thing, because just realize why all these things are all wrong. They're saying, like, for argument's sake, I mean, they took a thing that let the audit department do the auditing. I allow them to do that, but I mean, everybody with any common sense realize the audit department can't come and audit the CCC accounts. So we got a response from the audit department saying that, I mean, that's beyond the jurisdiction. So we have to go ahead. It's not me that just saying we need an auditor. That's a requirement. But administration before never did it. So we have to audit and lay. It is part of the law that statutory bodies have the auditors. It have to be laid in the House of Parliament. But that has not been done for the last 30 years.
But why do you think that's the case? Where both administrations, they have failed to ensure that this process is carried out.
Yeah,
as far as you're aware.
Well, probably it was that maybe then there was a bad management of the finances. So I have Peterson Francis have nothing to hide. So I'm prepared, and if it was for me, that would have been laid in Parliament a long time ago.
Let's go about your frustration, because again, it appears that you have been taking the authorities to task, various agencies to task. Do you think that your hand is basically forced to implement various measures that should have been the preserve of other agencies? Absolutely. Is that putting you at odds with other agencies?
Yeah, it is putting at odds with other agencies. Because you see, St. Lucia is that we follow the fashion. So in other words, if A have to be doing that, and I have to be doing something else, but what A is not doing is affecting what I have to do, or what A is not doing is making the situation where people are looking onto you to do it. And this is what is happening. You understand? So, and that's why I've always called the other government agencies. Now, most of the time, they have the law on the side. They have things they could do. They have places they could shut down. Okay? What do you do? So I must stay there as mayor, see all the gutters, all the business places, this food establishment, no grease trap. You pass the road, the increasing rats and all these things, and what do? Just go with the flow. Nobody cares. And I think St. Lucians are tired of that. St. Lucians are now looking for things for action. And this is basically what I'm saying. I will not sit by and realize all our gutters are clogged if things some food establishment. No. So they'll sit in action they have to take, and I'll take the action.
When you take those actions, are you getting legal advice before you pursue those measures?
Like what
I'm
measures?
just saying, you said earlier on,
yes,
for example, that the lawyers on the side of the various agencies,
yes,
they are armed with the various
yes,
legal arrangements and so on,
yes,
that would give them the right to implement certain measures. So that would give me the impression that you do not have the legal right to pursue a lot of measures.
No, when I mean they have the right. Let me just give you an example. When I came in, and you'll know that, the whole of Jeremy Street was a fish market. People will come there fish from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Somebody even selling it from bareback. There's no ice on these fishes. They clean it right there. They throw everything right there in the gutter and so on. Where's the environment and health? Now you're telling me that I came in as mayor. I have to wait. I had to wait on environment and health. I have spoken and I wait on them and allow that to continue. No, I'm not. So therefore, these guys had to be stopped, which they did. Now, if you say that is breaking the law, I don't know. What I'm saying, they could have come in, they could have confiscated what they had, they could have been arrested, they could be, but there is no vending on the street as far as fish is concerned. So if you think the city police will confiscate it, and they'll be fine.
The latest measure you're undertaking is along the Hospital Road area.
Yes.
I think as of Monday, there were several no parking signs, yes, in that area. Shouldn't that be the responsibility, again, of the traffic department?
Well, you see, Tim, the problem we are now facing, which I agree with you, I do not know whether St. Lucians or the authorities, or as we like to do in St. Lucia, we like to give things name. We want to give institutions name. We want to follow what is happening to other places. But the functions of that institution is not being realized.
Let's look at, for example, specifically the traffic department of the St. Lucia Police Force.
Now, what I'm saying is this. You as mayor of the city, we're looking at the cleanliness of the city. We have function that city solid waste have to perform. Am I to sit back there and see the whole of the area is flooded with rubbish? and because he's the responsibility. But the mayor of the city is responsibility for the city. So although there are certain, so we have these overlapping rules now.
But shouldn't you be working in collaboration, in this particular case, working in collaboration with the police to look at the issues with regard to illegal parking?
No, you see, the other problem that we have, we work in conjunction with the police. Now, the police has, I wouldn't say more important things to do. They have more pressing matters in crime and this thing. These things are routine matters. You don't get up, the police just going to, look to make sure that, we have to make sure the streets are clear. So what we are actually doing is we are saying no parking.
But was there sufficient dialogue between your office and the traffic department? Because to me, the police should be leading the charge on this particular issue, particularly, again, along the Hospital Road area.
We always consult we work in conjunction with them. Now, the other thing that we have there, who has the right? It's a very important point that you're raising there. Who has the right? Is it infrastructure? Is it the traffic department? Is it the CCC? And incidentally, this is something that the AG is now looking into. But all what we are saying is this, but if you realize that we have not given one ticket, we're not giving any ticket as far as concerned. We just want the area, and if you pass there this morning, you'll see that certain vehicles parked, but we want to make sure that an ambulance, whatever emergency vehicle could pass. And that's it. We have a lot of derelict vehicles on the side of the road, which we have taken care of. Do we wait on solid waste to come and answer? We have notified the people and we started moving these and so on. So this is basically about traffic. And what is happening now is that CCC now is maybe too helpful. We are too helpful. And because I don't know what used to happen before the CCC, because probably it was just an agency where you find that all governments want to do what satisfies them through that entity. But right now, that has been changed. The CCC is working for the benefit of the citizenry of the constituencies.
What does that put you in terms of your relationship with members of the public? For example, people who have been parking in that area for several decades, all of a sudden they're facing this realization, this stark reality that they cannot park there anymore. And it is not the police that is leading the charge on this particular issue, and they expect the police to be doing what you're doing right now, but it is the CCC. Have people really come to terms with the CCC being a more proactive agency compared to what it was before?
They have not. And incidental, as we said, as we go and we are looking at it, because you see, every time when something, you never heard anything, and people have now made representation from me. They have, also contacted other agencies, because you see, when nothing is happening, nobody's interested. But all of a sudden, as you're now seeing, and these are things we have to take on, but we have to start.
But while some people might welcome this gesture or those gestures, a number of people certainly would abhor it.
Yeah, but in St. Lucia, you have more people. You always have the more negative than positive. But as we said, we are looking at it. We have to think. People have to realize. All of us know. Well, look, that's not supposed to be happening. So as a matter of fact, all what we are doing is to clear certain areas. You realize you pass there this morning, there are still people who think, but the manner in which it was being done, we have to start controlling it. So we are now looking at, because there might be we are looking at it, who has the responsibility. But as far as I believe, my responsibility is to see that the roads and other things, as far as the city is concerned, or in the 4 constituencies, is being done right.
You're being criticized and accused of not consulting people prior to taking certain critical decisions. What's it?
So you're saying that the roads is being, all derelict vehicles on the hospital road, emergency vehicles cannot use there. We are now clearing it. You know how times we call on people for certain things and nobody. You see, the thing about we are in St. Lucia, we are wasting our time, in the sense that we always saying we have to educate. We have to inform. We talked. We send press releases. We have consultation, nobody takes you on. Solution only understand or only comes to light when they realize that you're serious about what we are doing. So right now, I'm doing it in reverse. I'm getting a consultation after because people realize we need to be consulted. People realize we have to talk. But before, nobody takes you on. Nobody takes you on. But we said that we're going to start looking at nobody takes you on. So probably my stand might be aggressive. My style might be not in tune with what people believe that we're supposed to be begging people to do things. But that's my style.
But pretty soon, you might have to beg a certain group of people. I'm referring there to Castries South. Beg them to vote for you. So we'll be looking at it from that perspective. You probably entering the political arena come the next general election. Stay with us. You are watching Newsmaker Live right here on the DBS television. My guest this evening, the Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Newsmaker Live right here on DBS television. My name is Timothy Pulliam. We go up until 10 o'clock this evening. My guest is the Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. Mr. Francis, my information is you're looking forward to being the endorsed candidate of the United Workers' Party for Castries South.
That's your understanding?
That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I'm not hearing that either. I'm hearing just like you.
Okay, what politically, what is your next move?
Politically? Well, I'm hoping that I'll continue as mayor.
And not contest any seat in St.
Right now, I have not. Nothing has been offered to me. Nothing has been decided. I have not decided. I have not opened myself to any seat whatsoever. I mean, as mayor of Castries, I have the responsibility for constituencies. So if people want to see me in the constituency, but as I said before, as your previous report, that people have been coming to me as far as Castries South is concerned. And I've told them if the opportunity arises, I'll consider it.
What would cause you, therefore, to make up your mind and to say yes or no? What would influence your decision?
In other words, I do not have I'm not a one-man show. I belong to a political organization which has rules and regulations, which have, if you want to be a candidate, you do what you have. There are rules, as I said, there are procedures you have to follow. You have to write to the party, inform the party, whether it's through the branch or otherwise. The thing, nothing of that nature.
But in that Don Nicholas report we played at the commencement of the broadcast, the current MP for the constituency, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, said that very soon you will have your own battle with Miss Mary Isaac. You will have to deal with Mary Isaac. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Huh? Mary Isaac and myself, we have absolutely no problems. I don't know what he means by that.
Does it mean that Mary Isaac is the caretaker candidate of the United Party, although she's Minister of Health for that constituency? And suggestions are that you would want to supplant her, to replace her as the candidate.
I've not said anything, any such thing. She was the last person who ran the seat, and I think obviously she's the caretaker.
And you're looking forward to supporting her to contest the next seat?
I'm in a political organization, and if Timothy Poullier is the one that have been selected to go to Castries South, I'll support.
By when are you hoping to make up your mind? Because we continue to hear the talk of you contesting that seat. By when are you expected to definitely make up your mind as to whether you will contest Castries South or not?
How do I answer that question? I said already that I'm a politician. If the opportunity, if my party believe that I am the best person for any seat, and I've been requested in conjunction with the constituency group, I will consent. In other words, I will contest. That's basically what.
So in other words, what you're saying that you are available.
That is correct.
Why are you available?
Available because the same way the job I'm doing as mayor, I believe if I have an opportunity, I'll do my best if I'm given an opportunity by my party to run any seat.
But as mayor, you carry a particular clout, a particular level of independence. Why would you even entertain the thought of entering the political arena at that level to contest a seat, when, for example, your contract can be renewed to be the MP, to be the mayor for Castries, and also by all indication you're doing a fantastic job? Why do you want to basically throw this away, the possibility of throwing this away, to contest a seat and possibly lose?
The present arrangement onto how mayors are not elected, and I'm going to make a statement to that. If the mayorship is an elected position, I would have run for mayor before any political seat, if it's elected. Presently, as soon as I leave that show, if I leave that show and the political director said, look, we do not want, I have absolutely no control over that. I get a call, we don't need you at CCC tomorrow. Are you saying that is a good situation?
But can't we as nationals serve our country in various capacities other than being an elected parliamentary representative?
Yes, I can. And that's what I'm telling you, that if the mayorship, if Castries people have to vote for the mayor, Peterson Francis will give the mayorship his nod. I would rather run as mayor or stay as mayor. If I could think as mayor, I will stay as mayor. But again, I'm telling you, this is not an elective position. So I'm at the whims and fancies. If today, okay, we want Peters, tomorrow we don't want him, and so on. Do you consider to be a stable situation?
But why would you fret over this? Why would you? Why would there be a necessity for you to be so concerned over your tenure?
No, as far as I'm
After all, this is your government. You support the United Workers' Party. Clearly, you should not be too concerned as to whether your stewardship will be maintained or not.
As far as I'm concerned, Tim, I believe mayors should not be thrust on the people. I think a mayor is supposed to be elected by the people.
Do you believe that the United Workers' Party administration will look forward, because there's talk of reintroducing local government elections?
Yes.
How soon do you think that this will come into effect?
I know my line minister is very, very strong on that as far as is concerned. Even the Prime Minister, even though the whole board is not elected, but there are certain people that should be elected.
What if it happens before the next general election is due? That is the election, local government elections.
Yeah, you will forget about Peterson Francis running any seat.
Okay. What about new developments, new projects being undertaken by the CCC? For example, the Castries Market Redevelopment Project and the current construction of the Provisions Market. How is this going?
Yeah, that is going very, very well. We are looking. As I said, we are ahead of schedule. We will give it within the thing. Although we have a little slight delay in material, but that have not stopped the construction. I think by now they should have gotten what they were looking for because coming from England and so on. But so we're on track on that. So that is okay. Our first phase. So I'm very happy with the progress, and especially with the contractor, the level and the quality of work that is being done. If you pass there, you'll see we are now going to the roof.
Okay. But so far as the cooperation with the market vendors?
Well, we have not so. I mean, they have cooperated very well. We don't have a problem with the market vendors. As you know, I always see if the market vendors speaking to them and so on. Because the issue that we have there right now is how to get them back. Because right now they are comfortable where they are. They believe it's a good location. So the battle has not started. It's when they have to relocate. I thought in removing them was a problem, but now it looks like it's bringing them back problem. But we will handle that.
Why is it so important to take this particular project? I'm talking about the redevelopment of the market, and in particular the Provisions Market. Why did you decide to start with that phase? Well,
we started the phase, if you realize that was the uncovered area. I mean, these people has been, selling in the elements, and if you see the standard, if you see the way they were inside of the chock-a-block, so we had to do something about that. The redevelopment of the market, we're looking, as you know, our market is one that is very high as far as world markets are concerned. But we want to now rebrand in the sense of that, we want to make the market what is authentic, St. Lucia authentic market. We want what is our own. We have this thing that, the tourists come, and we don't do anything for visitors alone. We have to do something also for our own people. So we have people who produce things here, okay? If I give you, for example, the people in Sozel, they do. The people in Sozel should not be able to come up to Castries to sell 2 chairs, 3 chairs, and so they're supposed to be producing these things. We're supposed to have these people that in the market who are selling, they were buying from them and sell. We don't want it in the market that you have these t-shirts from Welcome to New York, and these things. We want an authentic St. Lucia thing. We have our people who produce condiments. We have Viking, we have Baron Foods, we have the rest of these people. So these things could be available. Like, say, for argument's sake, you should have, like fish, meat, and so on. The visitors come, you have these condiments, they could see the cooking of it there right now out it, they could taste it, and you have people who actually come, who would sell these things at the market. We don't have these people, they have to do the whole thing. Like, in other words, like, look, for we have a situation right now, where we find, I have a certain problem with it. Like right now, we have the brewery, the wholesale, the retail, the first the manufacturer, the wholesale, the retail. Okay? And if you realize what has happened, a lot of our businesses who before would wholesale their product has gone. Even those who retail, the majority of them has gone. So we can't have a situation. So when these manufacturers, they are manufacturers, let them manufacture. And let this little business. So in the market, we'll have these people. We don't have the barons, the Viking, the people actually on the road, on this. We have people, like in our market, who are actually selling these things, create employment. We can have the whole hog in one area. So that's basically what we're looking at.
But with regard to the Provisions Market, how soon it will be opened, ready for business?
We should be by, hopefully, I'm saying within a month and a half.
What will that do, in terms of the psyche of people, consumers, the morale of the vendors? What impact do you think that will have on them?
I hope it doesn't have, impact to someone. What I'm saying is that, we are now going to make them, give them the reason to sell, to have a standard. When we relocate these people, if you pass in the market, you swear that was our first major hurricane. If you see the debris, could not believe these things were underneath there all the time being used, and you don't see it, but when they remove these things and so on. But we have to create. We have to make. I mean, we are always tell our vendors, they are business people. You have to elevate yourself. That's what we look like in the arcade, where everybody's saying things are slow. We're not selling. The tourists the visitors are just passing. They're just watching. But from the time they reach in the Caribbean, from island to island, is the same thing they're seeing. There is nothing authentic. I mean, I went to Martinique. If you look at Martinique, you feel that the things that they're selling is authentic Martinique thing. So you could go and get souvenirs, you could go and... But when you pass in Haiti, you come here, you see the same, you believe in, well, you're still in Haiti. You pass in Antigua and you come into St. Lucia, you see the thing for the tourists, you're still there. So that is what is happening. So we have to, and that's what I will tell the vendors, that they suppose the organizations supposed to come together with them and, develop themselves. We can't have the same thing people are saying. We have a key ring, it's just the flag of St. Lucia. You go to Antigua, the flag of Antigua. You understand? Haiti, the flag of Haiti. And it's the same thing.
Talking about the vendors, have you called Mr. Peter Asaipa Isaac to congratulate him since he was re-elected? A good friend, Mr. Isaac.
Well, I absolutely have no problem. In Senator, I just responded to a letter that he just sent me and so on, and wishing he and his association well.
The guy has legitimacy. Huh?
What's that?
The guy has legitimacy.
Wow.
He's been re-elected time after time.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to say about that?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the vendors. The thing, but I mean,
but obviously, you'll have not had the most cordial of relations.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that obviously the vendors, they have reposed their trust and they have confidence in him in terms of his stewardship and his ability to lead the organization.
Well, you said you have reposed. I mean, I'm not saying anything. If 5 people votes and you get 4, you're duly elected. If you have 700 vendors and 70 elect you, you're still elected.
Yeah, but if you decide to contest the Castries South seat and you were to win that seat by 2 votes, you would be elected.
But I'm telling you,
you would be saying you would not be taking issue with the margin of victory.
No, I'm not saying
the margin of victory is irrelevant.
I agree with you. I mean that everyone is duly elected. I said if there are 700 vendors and 70 voted, he's duly elected. I'm not disputing that.
How are you hoping to improve relations with Vendors Association? Because it certainly has been strained over the last few years.
I have said repeatedly, I have absolutely no problem with the Vendors Association from the president going down. I have absolutely no problem. I have absolutely no problem. I've worked, but what has happened before is this. You call in, I mean, the president will tell you, on many occasions I've called him. I've informed him as to what we are looking at. He has agreed with us. We have asked him to relay this information to his vendors, which we don't even know that it is. So when we take the action, we thought we have been spoken to his members. He have done absolutely nothing. It comes as a surprise to them. And when you know what happened, everything comes back to me. As you said before, lack of consultation. So that is the distrust that is there.
But anyway, that is the individual that you must work with because he is the vendor's representative.
I have absolutely no problem.
You're watching Newsmaker Live, and my guest, the Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion and focus on the city police as well as crime in the nation's capital. Later, your calls. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Once again, Newsmaker Live also on Facebook, our Facebook page, and we'll be taking your calls a little bit later, so please stand by for that. As I continue my discussion with my special guest, Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis, what are your general plans for the city, in particular parking meters? Because we've been hearing this for a long time now, that parking meters would have been erected in the capital. This has not happened.
Well, we have been speaking to it over a year now, I understand that. But, there are some problems, anything that you get in new in this country that we have to make sure. And well, it took us a while to get the legislation. But, so that is in place. As you said, the terminal is already here. The final hurdle is rectifying with DCA to give the final approval, and that's it. So we are still looking at next month, end of September, early October. So that's the only thing.
So chances are it can happen next year.
No,
Into next year. Drag into next year.
No, it will not drag into next year. That I can assure you, it will not drag into next year. Okay, so we just the DCA. That's a final thing, and then.
So do you think it was a disjointed approach, going through the AG and then taking it at various intervals, and now you at the level of the DCA? Shouldn't have gotten approval from the DCA as well, long before?
No, because you couldn't get the, approval from DCA because there was no legislation for it.
Okay.
There was no legislation. So right now the legislation is there, so then we are moving to it. But it's just a little minor thing now.
So you're looking at what, at least September, October for the latest?
Yes, that's for sure.
What impact do you think this will have the flow of traffic in the city?
It will. Not only that, it will bring back the type of commerce we're looking for. I mean, right now, what is happening? People rather go take half an hour and go up to Grosile to buy something that was in $10, some gas, and come back. Just for the frustration. I mean, just parking for 10, 15, 20 minutes.
How will this work? Once you erect the parking meters, how will this work?
Well, we are looking at it's an hour parking, so which will be from $3. You for an hour, for the first hour, and if for argument's sake you have to stay longer than an hour, and let's say you park in the boulevard and you're on Jeremy Street, you don't have to run back to the boulevard to a terminal to thing. You could top up at any other terminal and so on. So that should help. And I'm thankful to St. Lucians that is looking and have been crying out for the parking meters. So it is as sooner than later.
You'll have special attendance?
Yes, we have to.
About how many?
Probably maybe about, we will say between 5 and 10 for the time being, because we'll also again there are people that we might have to clamp, because they were just certain areas just parked and so on. So we have to have up Union, they are building something that we could impound vehicles. So all these things had to and so on. So we are moving on in a new era. We are all now looking at smart parking. That's just the first phase. We are going to start parking, because what has happened is that with the legislation, it is now given the minister the power to declare any area as a parking area.
The transport minister?
Yeah, the transport minister. So let's say, for instance, like the free parking we had everywhere now. Let's say we have cricket at Besséjour. You can now create Besséjour as a parking area for when they have whatever activity they have there, cricket or whatever it is. And and be able that you could go online now, do your transaction, get your parking spot, and just drive up to Besséjour thing. So we're looking at Jazz and Pigeon Point, all these places. We are now going to organize all these things. So if you have any land up there, let us know.
I don't. But let's talk about the general development of Castries. In particular, I understand that just recently you did release some plans for the William Peter Boulevard.
Yes. And this is that is being done under Tourism OECS redevelopment, the 2020 vision. Incidentally, about 2 weeks ago, we met with a consultant who have now reached the drawing stage, which has been discussed with the authorities. So that's the stage we are. So we are now going to get to the final situation, the final thing, and so on. So that again is on track.
Now, if you're going to take all those developments, you have to look at one critical area, and that is crime. What kind of progress are you making as the mayor of Castries in terms of bringing this situation under control in the nation's capital?
Well, I mean, Tim, you should. Before where that thing was so prevalent. I mean, when last, I don't know if you're hen, and you know, sometimes when we speak about something, all of a sudden we say there has been a calm, and we say, well, you know, like if you're gloated about it, and then tomorrow you say a storm. But I mean, I'm sure St. Lucians would be satisfied that so far that we have had an element of control over I'm talking petty within Castries. Look at for the last 3 seasons, cruise ship. I mean, the cruise ship have not reported anything about the thing. They have not had any reported incident as such. We have continued every year. You know, the cruise ship season that somebody is threatening not to come back and so on. I mean, that we have element, we have control that for the time being. As I said, I don't want to say that we have, and tomorrow you hear, you know, St. Lucians that's to defy you. So, but I'm sure St. Lucians are satisfied the level of what we had before is not that.
We are anxiously awaiting your calls, so I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. We will put a telephone number on screen so that you can call right now with your questions and comments for my guest. Once again, the Mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. Continue.
Yes, because these petty crimes you hear, starting up change, starting up birthing and so on, I'm sure that this thing has been brought down at a certain level that we are not hearing that on a daily basis again.
You attribute that to what? The work of the city police?
We attribute it to the general police, to the city police, and the effort of the citizens. At least now, people are going to tell you. Like we have, if somebody snatch a phone, you know, and this thing, we'll get the information and we'll be able to recover. I mean, I'm sure that you have noted for a long time that reporting that the phones have been stolen. They are walked in, and people pulling the bags and these things and so on.
We have our first. Good evening, Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you, caller.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Good.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm there holding on.
Good, good. You're doing a fabulous job cleaning up the city in terms of garbage that has been all over the place. It's nice to see the city is very clean. But can you tell us where it is that you dumped this garbage after you've cleaned it up? After you've collected it every single day?
When what was happened, we drop it at Dayglow, and probably I know where you're coming from. Like in other words, tonight when you see we do our night cleaning, remember when we had a facility by Rekai there for years, which we had to demolish. So all what we do right now at nights, when we clean at nights, that is, we for the time being, temporarily, we deposit it in the CDC there. I mean, we have a thing there which we have organized to make sure that the rubbish doesn't. And what we are doing right now, the CDC people are getting a better service now because at least we are there twice a day. So whatever we deposit there tonight, before 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is already gone.
Mr. Mayor, that is not true, sir.
That is not true?
Not at all.
Where do we dump it?
Well, you do dump it in the CDC.
Yes.
That is a fact.
Yes.
But at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's still there.
6 o'clock in the morning, it's still there?
Yes, sir. I can guarantee that. You could come there with a news crew tomorrow, cameras, everything at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and you will find it there.
Okay, I'll look at that.
Mr. Mayor, and it's not a short-term thing. This thing has been going on since, July of last year. It was supposed to be short-term.
Uh-huh.
But it's still going on. What say you on that?
But you see, one of the problems that we have in St. Lucia is that people, we want things to be better. I know the area that you're talking extremely well. I know, even when I myself was, I'm an acting chairman of NHC, that I'm sure you'll agree with me. The rubbish still there would not have been picked up sometimes of 2 to 3 days. It would not be picked up. But I'm sure you can see presently that you don't have, from CCC alone, you have twice, service twice daily, plus in conjunction with solid waste. You agree that?
Mr. Mayor, it is an inconvenience to the tenants in the city. It is, Mr. Mayor. The only thing, I have documented videos and pictures from last year of this dumping of garbage. And Mr. Mayor, it is not healthy. It is not healthy. There are children living in this area. There are food establishments here. All right, you get flies coming from this thing. You get rodents coming from this thing. The vagrants come in there. They open it up and they leave it in a mess, Mr. Mayor. All right, we have to deal with this on a daily basis. Go to bed at night and the smell just rises into your apartment. You, Mr. Mayor, you should know that this is unhealthy. It is an unhealthy practice, and it's something needs to be done urgently. The residents have already gone to environmental health. They are afraid to touch it.
Why?
Right?
Why they are afraid to touch it?
Everybody seems to be afraid to touch anything dealing with the city, Mayor.
Okay.
Maybe that's a question you should answer.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate the contribution, sir. We continue to take your calls and comments once again for my guest. He is the mayor of Castries, Mr. Peterson Francis. Good evening. Newsmaker Live, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, good evening to you, sir.
Yes. Good night, Mr. Mayor.
Good night, sir.
I would like to congratulate you on your efforts in curbing the crime situations in the city. In terms of the garbage, in the city, the littering and all that, and even the peeing, across the city. I'd like to commend you.
Thank you, sir.
I know you very well, and I just want to let you know that you should keep up doing what you're doing. You will always be attacked because any man who stands for what is right and any man who tries to do something positive in this country, they will be attacked. So keep on doing what you're doing, Mr. Mayor. Kudos to you. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much for calling. As we await another call, once again, for my guest. We're going up until 10 o'clock this evening. It's about almost 25 minutes before 10 o'clock as we continue our discussion here with my special guest. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. I am you doing a very good job in town, and I like that. So don't worry about what anybody say. You're doing a great job there, and that's good. What I want to talk to you about, you spoke about the loud music sometime last week, and I think that was on Monday. I realized you walk around, with your workers and stuff. But we have a problem here, and that is on the, is it Bexon? Bexon bus stand, between the two CDCs, opposite Dilly's.
Yes.
There is this guy there who plays his music. All now so it's on. He comes in the morning, very loud, and all now so it's on.
Which area is that? What area is that?
Pardon?
What area is that?
He plays music.
Where is
there.
it? Where? I'm trying to where?
Close to the Bexo bus stand.
Yeah.
Between
Is that
Dilly's.
next to the bakery?
That's right. You're
Okay.
right there at the
All
back
right.
of the bakery.
Okay.
Yeah, and up to today, I called the city council, that I don't want to say too much about that because the
Yes.
response I got, it wasn't so good. I don't want to say, I'm not saying that they're not doing a good job, they're doing a very good job.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can look into that for
Yes,
us. The
yes,
people
yes.
here in this block, in Block H,
Yes.
the people have a problem here. They're complaining about that, and they told me it's about 2 years that thing is going on.
Yeah.
Please, if you can sort out that problem
No,
for
well,
us.
yes, we have to because as we
Okay,
said,
thanks a lot.
no problem.
Once again, we await another call on the program. Good evening, Newsmaker Live, you're on the air. We have lost this call. But how do you okay, we have another call. Good evening, Newsmaker Live, you're on the air.
Good evening, Mr. President Francis.
Good evening.
Boy, it will be against my conscience not to commend you on a fantastic job. You are taking the city of the mayor from being just a souvenir into you know, very good work, very practical, and I think changes. Now, I want to suggest that to help to alleviate the traffic jam situation in the Castries, especially when it's hosting season, I believe the pedestrian crossing which is opposite La Paz Carinage, there should be a traffic warden there The people crossing there every second and it's causing traffic build-up. So that can decrease the traffic jam situation by about 25%.
Yeah.
Somebody there contribute strength. Every second they causing a lot of simple thing causing a lot of traffic jam. But,
yes.
But good work as a mayor. What I hear you have asking for politics, I don't know, I can't comment on that yet, but as a mayor, I give you an A. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
Once again, this is Newsmaker Live with my special guest, the Mayor of Castries. I will not pose any question to you because I suspect we have some more calls coming in already. So let's go to that call. Good evening.
Good night.
Hi, good night to you, sir.
Peterson Francis.
Good night.
And I'm Timothy.
Good evening to you, sir. Hello? Hello? Okay, we lost the call. Okay, the call dropped, so let's see if we will get another call so that we can continue the interaction between you, the viewer, and the guest, Mr. Peterson Francis, who is the mayor of Castries. I was about to pose a question to you with regard to the playing of louder music. Shouldn't that be better coordinated where you have a central location where you have one music system that will be supplying the music so that all the various establishments and the patrons can benefit from one central location?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
My apologies. We have a call. Good evening, Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Yes, good evening, Tim.
Hi, good evening to you, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, well, let me start by to encourage the mayor to continue doing the work that he has started. There will always be the naysayers and the detractors. Yes, continue doing the work. Now, the last caller made a comment on the traffic by especially the Place Carénage there. Has any consideration been given to a walkover? I think we need a couple of them, especially that particular pedestrian crossing by La Place Carénage there, and possibly maybe on Jeremy Street as well. So if not, that idea has never come up, maybe it's something they could look at if it's feasible for something like that to happen. And last thing, Mr. I would like to probably see you for about 5-10 minutes. How can I go about seeing you for about 5-10 minutes?
You mean apart from seeing me on television?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you can join me, but maybe Friday, it doesn't matter.
So I could just walk into the office?
Yeah, and actually speak to my secretary and I'll see you. That's not a problem.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir.
Walk over along Jeremy Street, is that feasible, sir?
I'll leave that for the architects, the engineers.
Good evening. Newsmaker Live, you're on the air.
Good night, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Timothy Poyo.
You must say good evening to the host first, okay? Good night, Mr. Poyo, then good night, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead.
Okay.
Just joking.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Stop peeing in town. Okay?
What is this caller saying there?
I don't know.
Anyway, let's continue to take your calls. You are watching Newsmaker Live right here on DBS Television. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yeah, good night.
Hi, good evening to you, caller.
Good evening. You are doing a fantastic job. Please stay there and do not go into politics. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. So somebody's saying don't go into politics.
Well, Tim, let me tell you, the majority of people who stop me, that's their request.
That do not go into politics. Yes, Mayor. Good evening. Newsmaker Live, you're on the air. Hello?
Yes, hello, good night.
Yes, good evening. Can you speak up, please?
Yes, good night, Mr. Polio and Mr. Peterson.
Good evening to you, caller.
What about the stoplights they have in Castries? Are you not taking care of that?
Any particular area?
This is causing on Bridge Street. This is causing a lot of traffic jam.
Yes, I understand. The infrastructure is looking.
Thanks a lot, caller.
They are looking. Infrastructure is looking at it because these things we have been there for a while, so they are now looking at grid and so on.
Let's see if we have another call. Good evening, Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
On your guest.
Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I want to congratulate the mayor for a job well done, but there is still a little issues that is plaguing around. Like when a taxi driver comes to Castries to pick up guests, like in the port next to the cruise ship, and then when they have to come back to drop those guests back to the ship on afternoons, before they used to have a parking where you could have gone inside where they have the market there right now. So now they have to park on the road. right? And this is causing a problem with the police officers charging people when they, come from, on the tours. And, these are one of the things that need to address for us, because what happens when you pick up the people inside the port, you cannot go back inside with them and drop them by the ship. So you have to come in through La Place Carénage, anywhere around this area to drop them off. So please, Mr. Mayor, can you look into, with the traffic, and stuff like, to that if you can do something for that for us, please,
Okay, incidentally, I met a taxi driver who was pointing that out to me, so we have to look at that. Another problem I think that the taxi drivers have is that when they stop in front of the craft market for the tourists to go there and see, and they're being charged. So we're going to have a bit, try to get the traffic department the thing to see how we can at least give taxi drivers an opportunity just to drop and to collect, these visitors. So we are going to work on that. That's an issue.
Thanks for holding on. Good evening, dear.
Yeah, good evening again, Mr. Mr. Mayor. One more thing I will mention, Castries. I find the lighting in the city at night is a little dim. I don't know. I know, electrician, but can it be a little brighter at least in the fight against crime? Somebody 50 feet away from you, you can see the face. So can it be addressed, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we're looking to get some brighter lights. I agree with you. I think it's a little dim, and
How soon you address this particular issue?
Which one?
The lighting issue.
Yeah, we are going to work that with Lucy. Like, I don't know what the type of the LED, which I thought was supposed to be, much more thing and so on. But I agree with him. That is something that I've seen myself.
Another caller 9. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Tim.
Good evening to you.
Boy, you, Mr. Mayor, you've been doing such a wonderful job. I have been on Earth a little while, and to me, you're the best mayor St. Lucia has ever had. I can see work coming out of you. Castries is cleaner. People feel safer, despite the fact that there is crime, all over St. Lucia, people still killing and all that. But the city feels safer. I personally have been attacked in the city. And I used to feel a little anxiety, but it has been relieved. And I must say thank you to you. And there are other little areas, maybe a little suggestion, walking along the John Compton Highway, the VG Highway, that stretch until you get to the roundabout. The drains on that side is very filled. I don't know how far your work entails.
Yeah, it goes up to Shock. The Shock Bridge.
But that particular area, I know you've been doing a lot of work cutting grass. There's a lot going all in through San Souci and everywhere.
Yeah.
On that stretch, the drain needs to be cleared.
Okay. We'll look into it right away.
Yes, but you've been doing wonderful.
Thank you very much, my dear.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for calling, ma'am, as we await another call to continue the program and to continue our discussion here. Good evening, you're on the air?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening to you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Francis is doing a good job. I know him very well. I see him every day passing my water works through there. But he's not voice already. What about the stray animals, actually the dogs and anything? That's what I'm concerned about, though.
Okay, sir.
Animals, the dogs.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that is an incidentally, we also about there's somebody who's supposed to be coming to speak to me about that, how we could start addressing and so on. Because that is a very ticklish situation.
But you'll appoint a dog catcher?
we remember we used to have that before.
Yeah.
It's a very sensitive area. We have to be very careful as to what we do. And there is someone who is coming to discuss with me how we could address that situation. So we are definitely concerned about it and looking into it.
Good evening. You on the air?
Good evening, TP.
Good evening to you, sir.
When I say TP, I mean Timothy and Peter. Let me tell you, one thing, I can miss an opportunity and tell you on to basically congratulate you and commend you on the job you have been doing. One of these days you must ask a question, a quiz. Who was the last day of that? And see how many people will be able to answer that question. I don't read positions, but let me continue.
That's not being facetious, that's being mischievous.
Let me tell you, there are a few things, Mr. Mayor. I think three other things I wanted to call, two other things I wanted to call about. I think a previous caller mentioned it. One of them is the stray dog. The other one is the amount of homeless people. And you have mentioned before, you have lamented the fact that the agencies are not doing what they're supposed to do to deal with that situation. You know, and the first thing really, you know, I know you have, you know, taken some sort of, you have made an effort and you have taken some sort of initiative to deal with the problem. You know, I would really like to see that you, in your legacy, you declare Castries as a litter-free zone. You know, a litter-free zone, a clean Castries for the rest of the country to follow, for the Solid Waste Management Authority to take a page from what you are doing. You know, I note that you have indicated that, look, you want to start back the litter wardens, etc. So whatever you do, I think litter is a very big problem in this country. It's something that have took me for a while, and I really wish, and Castries, what better place to start from than Castries? I think it will be a great legacy for you. Last thing, Mr. Mayor, in terms of, I heard you speak about music, and you say what, not small, not medium, not loud, not large, and so on. Well, Mr. Mayor, I think you better refer, before you take big people take you to court, you better refer to the criminal code with respect to the whole question of playing loud. You know, I think it's explicit as to what the regulations are before you start turning of people music black is white.
No, I'm not turning up the music.
I support you. I want you to be on the right track, and I don't want anybody to take you to court for the wrong reason.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Once again, Newsmaker Live right here on DBS Television. It's 13 minutes before 10 o'clock. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Timothy.
Good evening to you, sir.
The Castries River, don't you think that you could pass through to the mouth of that river instead of all these bottling into the Castries River? Castries.
The harbor?
See? Yeah, the harbor. Just at the mouth of the river. All these bottles go down to Fuller Shore and
the banana.
Yes, this is part of the we're looking at it. We are looking at that. We have set up some proposal, different proposal for trapping and that sense. We are looking at that.
Yeah, trap. Some strain out there at the mouth there.
Yes,
going to the...
You're looking at that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much for calling, sir, as we await yet a call on this broadcast. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yeah, good night, Tim. How you doing, man?
I'm okay, sir. Good evening to you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, good night to you.
Good night, sir.
I find over the past years, man, you've been doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much for watching the broadcast. My name is Timothy Paulion saying good night. Please join me tomorrow afternoon between 12:30 and 2 o'clock on Real FM 91.3 North and 91.5 South for news.